Word on the street is that the strip is closed for the Golden Knights hockey parade. I guess the Golden Knights won some hockey games or something. So we might be stuck here at the Bellagio. We might literally not be able to get our car out of the parking garage. If so, I guess we'll be hoofing it to the Encore. We don't want to do that though. So let's hope we can get our car out of the parking garage, onto the strip, and down the street. Wish me luck. With the Golden Knights parade moments from starting, leaving the Bellagio wasn't as easy as it normally is. Security guards and orange cones and people directing traffic seemed to be everywhere. I was directed through the circuitous route through tunnels, behind casinos, and through service roads before finally returning to civilization. Although I was now going in the opposite direction of my target, the Encore. And as you can imagine, anyone that happened to be stuck in their cars wanted out of their cars immediately. Traffic was backed up for miles. The congestion did let up a bit as I neared the Encore, but what is normally a 10-minute trip by car, or maybe a 30-minute walk, turned into a 65-minute journey through hell. That Golden Knights parade made getting from the Bellagio to the Encore a harrowing experience. But we made it. So, after the arduous journey to the Encore, we finally make it into a game. 5-10 no limit $3,000 cap. Let's go. A little more than an hour into the session, and I finally find an open with Queen Jack offsuit from the low jack and get called by two players. The cutoff and the button. These two, I had no clue who they were. Never seen them before. Zero read on them. It's time to learn things. King, Jack, 3, Rainbow. Not the worst flop, obviously not the best, but I flopped a pair and the board is king high, which should be good for me. I lead for $40 and both of them quickly call. Maybe this board isn't so great. The turn 10 of clubs improves things a bit by adding a straight draw to my pair. The resistance by both of them on the flop leans me into checking the turn. The cutoff checks behind, but the button, not so fast. He cuts out $100 in chips and slides them into the middle. I call, hoping to bink the river, and the cutoff exits. The river 3 of diamonds isn't anywhere near the vicinity of the cards I was hoping for. Easy check. The button fires $400 into the pot, but mentally, I had folded 10 seconds ago. We don't have to wait too long before we get back into the mix. The next hand dealt, and I look down at Queen Jack offsuit again and open the action at $30. The previous button, now the cutoff, calls. I'd soon learned that he calls a lot pre-flop and that he's very wide. At this point in the session, though, I don't know that yet. The big blind comes along as well. Three of us see a flop of deuce, queen, 9 with 2 spades. Pretty good flop for me with top pair and decent kicker, and the big blind checks. I have a feeling though that the cutoff is a wild man. Again, I don't know that yet, it's just a feeling that if I check, he might be the type that just blasts off. I check, and he checks behind. So much for my damn feelings. The turn Jack of diamonds improves my holdings to 2 pair, and now the big blind takes the lead with a $50 bet. I call this, hoping to keep the imagined wild man in the cutoff in the pot. That fails. He just folds. Heads up now, we see the third spade in the form of a 6 hit the river, and the big blind leads again for a substantially bigger size, $210. With the line I took of checking flop and flatting turn, we're pretty high up in our range of hands, holding 2 pair with a spade on this river. Him betting a straight or a set like this is unlikely, but he could have flopped a draw and just delayed betting until the turn, and then got there on the river. I mean, I don't believe that, but it's possible. I call, expose my hand, and he mucks. That's one for the good guys. 30 or so minutes have passed without much action, and the only thing that I do know is that the player in the 6th seat is a bit off the rails. He isn't overly wildly aggressive, but he does call a bit too much and probably overbluffs, meaning he doesn't fold a lot. In this hand, action is folded to me on the button, and I opened to $50 with pocket jacks. The $20 under the gun straddle is on. Both blinds fold, and the 6th seat, also the straddler, calls. Queen 10-4 with 2 hearts. The straddler checks, and with the single overcard on board, I opt to check behind. Although the turn deuce of hearts brings in the front door flush, and I don't have a heart in my hand, I probably should be betting the street at some percentage. But when the straddler checks, I check it back again. The river pairs the 4, and now my villain leads for $100. My hand is super underrepped by checking back twice, so we make a pretty trivial call here, and he rakes in the pot when he tables ace-4 offsuit. Blah. Small mistake. I wonder if he would have folded if I bet turn. Probably not. Oh well. I move on. Not too long after that hand, I look down from the hijack to see ace-queen offsuit. Under the gun 1 has opened to $30 and the low jack has flatted. Time to bump this up a bit. I make it $150 and I'm not in the least bit surprised when the 6th seat, currently the small blind, cold calls. Both the under the gun 1 player and the low jack call as well, also not surprising, and we head to the flop 4 ways. 8 ace queen rainbow. Well, damn. It's hard to hit the flop much harder than that. All 3 villains check to me. I really don't expect to get any action here from anyone except maybe the small blind, because up to this point, he hasn't been using his fold button very much at all. I bet $250, and sadly, like a pack of synchronized quitters, they all fold. Pretty much from here on out, I'm doing whatever I can to get into hands with the 6th seat, even if it means taking the worst of it pre-flop. I don't care. I just want to be in pots with this guy. In this hand, I posted both blinds, so there is essentially just 1 blind and 5 dead dollars in the middle of the pot. The 6th seat, in the under the gun 2 spot, opens to $50 and we defend with 8-7 offsuit. I want the smoke. Jack 3 deuce with 2 diamonds. Check. Check. Queen of hearts. Check. Check. 4 of clubs. Well, I have 8 high versus a player that doesn't really fold, but then again, he hasn't shown any interest in this hand. But he doesn't really fold. And normally he would have bet something by now, right? What am I even thinking about? I have 8 high. I bet $60. He folds.
It's a movie. Red carpet, the lights going through me. Anytime I arrive, it's the new me. Real diamonds on my neck, there's groupies. Flashing lights. All these things come to me. Dressed in price. All my rings got weight to it. You feel that? You feel that? Already it's a classic. Classic. If I drop any day, it's a classic. Any wave that I'm on, it's a classic. Hey, you heard that? Classic, classic, classic. If I drop any day, it's a classic. Any move that I make, it's a classic. Hey, you heard that? Classic.
Besides a small hiccup or two, things this session have been progressively upwards pretty nicely. Here I opened to $30 from early position with a pretty good hand. King, Queen of Spades. The only action I get in the form of a call is from the button, who, from what I could tell after only a couple hours, seemed like a pretty solid player. Heads up. Queen 6-3 rainbow. I check, he stabs for $30, and I call. The turn ace of spades, although not our favorite card, isn't as bad as it initially appears. It's giving backdoor nut flush draw vibes. I check again, and our opponent checks this one back. The river deuce of clubs bricks our flush, and now I'll have a decision to make if the button continues with a sizable bet. Like I said, I have him tagged as a pretty solid player. It doesn't come to that though, and he elects to check back the river. I table my hand, he flashes a queen, and mucks. More chips for me. Another orbit passes, and I pick up a monster. A legit let's get all the chips in right now and double up or go broke, fight to the death, never folding, F you type hand. Ace king of hearts. And we open to $30. The button, the same player from the last hand, calls, and the big blind comes along as well. Let the battle begin. The flop of 9-4 Jack Rainbow gets checked by all three of us. No battle there. The turn 6 of diamonds begins with the big blind and myself checking, and the button doing the exact same thing he did in the last hand we played. He tosses out a little feeler bet for $50. The size is fine, whatever, but there's no conviction in his motion. It's just like, hey, I'ma just toss something in there. This works on the big blind, he folds. Me, I have my doubts. I call. The river 5 of hearts doesn't really do anything to move me to bet. Some straight combos come in, and obviously I lose to a single pair, and it's going to be hard for me to fight back on this river if any aggression comes my way. I check again. The button thinks about it for a second, and eventually decides that I should win this with ace high, because he checks it back. As the sessions doth prolong, mine ease with the play's temperament grows. Though hands be few, too scant to judge with precision, oft tarry moments do reveal true prowess and limitations. Hark! In this stage of play, the early position player hath ventured forth with a wager of $30, and I, forsooth, hath altered mine opinion of him, shifting from solid player to leans passive. Thus, from the cutoff, I raise with pocket kings to the sum of $100, whilst our old adversary in the 6th seat, who hath ever been a wild card in my mind, coldly calls from the big blind. The under the gun 1 player doth accompany us, and thus our trio is formed. Upon the board of Jack 9 deuce with 2 clubs, it is verily not a parched and barren terrain. Yon straight draws and flush draws doth beckon, yet that dangling deuce doth hold its charm. Both players in their wisdom doth opt to check unto me. I hold but little concern in this moment, and cast forth a sum of $120. With their distinct styles of play, I know full well that if the big blind doth retaliate, a grand pot shall ensue. And if the under the gun 1 player doth raise even in the slightest, perchance I am found trailing behind. But lo, none of these musing prove of consequence, for they both, in their whim, doth fold and retreat from the fray.
Classic, classic. If I drop any day, it's a classic. Any wave that I'm on, it's a classic. Hey, you heard that? Classic, classic. Classic. If I drop any day, it's a classic. Any move that I make, it's a classic. Hey, you heard that? Classic.
We are home, and forgive the mess. I'm in the middle of moving. But you know what? We'll talk about the move later. Tonight, session at the Bellagio, session at the Encore, both ended up profitable. In the Bellagio, game for 1,500 and out for 44 and some change, almost up $3,000 at the Bellagio. In the Encore game for 3,000 and up $990. So profitable session, didn't really get into too many tricky spots, pretty straightforward. All my hands just kind of held up, which is a welcome change from what I've been experiencing since the World Series started, where I was just getting coolered and sucked out on madness. But we're good. We're happy with today's results. Tomorrow, actually in a few hours, it is Father's Day. I am a father, so that's kind of a big deal. And that's it. I have nothing else to say. So let's wrap this thing up. If you like the vlogs, and subscribe, and leave me a comment, and I'll probably respond, and we'll talk about the upcoming move later. And no, I'm not leaving Vegas. I don't play at Resorts World very often. In fact, I don't ever think that I've vlogged a session here.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SO Show. Bring the band in.
And we're in the Encore parking garage. The problem is, my dumbass left the house without a dime. So
man, I get one, so I gotta go get it. This life getting on my attention. Don't you worry, I don't burn my bridges. Look at these words, I'm so artistic. Paint this canvas, looking fantastic. Even when I know there's madness. Trust me, I've tasted and seen it happens. But I still go out and get it like a savage. So I don't worry about things I can't control no more. Taking all of my problems, put them on the floor. Let's go! Party like it's my last day. For every day I've been lasting. Everything sound crazy till I'm hard. Don't worry about that. Live your life. Tomorrow gon' face yourself. Today will go all night. Don't worry about that. Live your life. Tomorrow gon' face yourself. Today will go all night.
post Father's Day night, is that what you call it? Juneteenth morning? I don't know, but it's late. Okay, we are here. The session is over. I'm standing next to my car. The parking garage is empty, and I normally do this whole wrap-up thing at home because of the rules, but I'm actually not going right home right away. 'Tis not always that mine recordings strike true. On the first attempt a miss may ensue. Twice, nay thrice, I must lay voice upon mine art, to capture the essence, in truth to impart.
You look ridiculous.
So we are about an hour into our session at the Encore, of which you've seen none of, because over that hour I've played exactly one hand. Open Queen 8 of spades from the cutoff to $30. I got raised by the big blind to 140, and I snap folded. I did order food though, which is why I'm on the roof, to enjoy it because it is a nice day out here in Vegas. And as far as the Bellagio session that I didn't really wrap up, it went well. I'll give you numbers when I get home, but I'm happy with how the session went. So that's a quick update about what's going on this Saturday? Is it Saturday? This Saturday night for me, and I'm going to enjoy my food before it gets cold. Yep, we're done. We are done. It is probably 11 o'clock. I got up way too early. I stayed up last night way too late. We're done.
Thank you.
That's it. I have nothing else to say. So let's wrap this thing up.
Just a dead man.